this record is to be the only one to survive the Great Convergence, then I intend to be as thorough as I can for the inheritors. You may not share the perspective we did when all this began. As such, it seems fitting to start here. Oh, glorious soul shines radiant on me. After the success of my last expedition, Elder Randolph has formally granted me the rank of Envoy Magnus. I cannot contain within me the amount of mirth I feel at being given this opportunity. No more will my reports and findings simply be the background information in the stories of greater men. My own chronicle shall be added to the Grand Library. My only regret is that I was not able to reach this achievement when my father was still with us. If only he could have seen this. I'm still taken aback, staring at the gilding on the edges of the purple robe. I've hung my old crimson at home back in Monachium. It now rests on my old armor, standing watch by the window, waiting for my return. Though, with such new responsibilities, my returns are going to be much fewer and further between. Less than half of my time is spent within Germania Magna as it is. I'm beginning to gather up my sophomoric writings as an early envoy and am trying to decide the best way to assemble them. Each Magnus in history has taken their own unique approach. There are a lot of common themes to the actual construction of their chronicles, with varying degrees from cold historicity to overly dramatic, emotional effluence. I find both extremes distasteful. The accounts I've spent the most time reading take on a more topical organization to the chapters or articles, then a more personal and informal approach is used to discuss the subject at hand. I feel like that's a good medium, considering the nature of the chronicle itself, as an autobiographical, historical account. It should feel personal because it is. I feel like those were the most honest. They reflect the soul of the man or woman who penned them, while having enough sober organization to not feel like hysteric ramblings. So, to start, I shall cover the nature of the Omnia Regna. I was first properly introduced to the concept when I was just a boy. I was maybe 5 years old, playing out in the garden behind our house. My father, who was a cartographer, was inside working on an updated map. My mother was on the far side of the house preparing dinner. I was flying a toy Corvus through the tomato stalks when I tripped on something on the ground. Picking myself up, I turned around to see what had caught my shoe. The creature making its way across the path was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was about 3 cubits long, composed of brilliant purple scales, and even brighter purple than my new robe. The scales had a sharp hexagonal shape to them with dark black tips like freshly filled fountain pens. It had 3 sets of wings spaced proportionally down its body, which vibrated in short bursts like those of a hummingbird. The vibration seemed to help it move along the ground, rather than arching its body like a caterpillar or slithering like a snake. Its head was even stranger. Instead of a top and bottom jaw, it seemed to break open in 5 directions. The center of the mandibles was like the mouth of a lamprey or leech. It began vibrating toward me, mouth agape, while I called for help. I ran in a wide circle trying to reach the door to my house when my father came out with his case-stoose worn tight over his left arm. He caught the beast in the grasp of the armored gauntlet. The case-stoose then divined his intent and erupted the palm of the device in a blinding white fire. The creature screeched with an unholy sound as its body dried and withered. Once it ceased moving or making noise, my father took it to the volcanum beside our house to be totally incinerated. The creature was something that is now colloquially known as a drummer serpent. These are so named because of the way their bodies wrap along the ground from the vibrations of those wings. While not venomous, they are very fast creatures which can easily kill unarmored humans by biting at the soft tissue, causing you to bleed out. These are only one kind of the thousands of creatures that have slowly entered our realm through bleeds in the fabric of the Omnia Regna. For many centuries, such creatures were thought to be part of our world to one degree or another, monsters let loose on us by the gods in divine punishment or incompetence. But as our understanding of Sol Invictus deepened, so too did the understanding of our shared world. Our realm, which we now call Regnum Prima, is but one of thousands or perhaps millions of realms of similar nature. They all follow different paths in their histories, most of them having no humanity at all, no self-thinking beings, only animals of various shapes and sizes. Some have strange laws which govern the movement of the stars and the motion of atoms. At first, these realms were something of a fascination. Creatures could appear in and out of Regnum Prima as though they were simply passing through, while others would appear and never leave. And it was not just creatures, but plants and minerals as well. Among those minerals were a variety of gems that have fundamentally transformed our world. The first to be fully utilized, a crystal called phasite, could be used to power gateways to visit these other realms ourselves. We're trying to understand where and why such things were passing through into our world. The answer had grave ramifications. The bleeds of these other realms into our own were becoming more frequent over time. This was true of every different world we visited as layers upon layers of alternate realities began merging together. We may find a volcanic island on one trip and return to find two similar volcanoes branching off of it like the heads of Cerberus. Thin grasslands have become forests over time as trees appeared to fill every empty space from branching variants of that grassland cohabitating a single spot. Most enthralling, however, was the night sky. With every year that passes, more and more stars fill the vast darkness. There may come a time when the night glows as brightly as the day, and Sol's light becomes inconsequential. It is now our belief that all of these realms, the Omnia Regna, are experiencing a great convergence, where only a single Regnum Demus will remain at the end. It was in the 1235th year of Rome that the Ministerium was established. It is our duty to make sure that humanity in general, and the citizens of the Roman Republic in particular, survive the Great Convergence. We exist to make sure we have a place in the new world that's spun together on the other side. As an envoy, it is my task to gather as much information as I can from these other realms before they converge into ours. We must be informed on what's to come so that we can be prepared. Now, as an envoy Magnus, my observations, my service to Rome, and my life story in general must be fully documented for the sake of those that come after me. My shared observations with the lower envoys will paint a richer picture of this period of history for those making plans for the future. Knowledge is our greatest strength. We must become as strong as possible. Signed, Ulysses Adelbrecht, Envoy Magnus, 22 Julius 2411. Only 7 years ago, and yet I barely recognize myself. Being given the opportunity to assemble my own chronicle was the realization of a dream. I thought my final annotations and musings would be added to the margins as an old man, long past my centennial. Now I may not see my 40th birthday. Perhaps that would be preferred. All those I love are gone. Finishing this is more for their sake than mine. I care little about my own achievement, but to carry on the torch of their memory, I'll endure a little more pain.